Hello, my Richies, and welcome back to another episode of the Make Life Rich Movement podcast. My name is Sara. I'm your host, and in today's episode, we are reconnecting after a much needed long winter's nap. I ended 2025 on a peaceful high note, and I'm just so grateful for everything that 2025 gave me. I can say with confidence that I ended the year as a completely different person and a lot closer to the person that I've always wanted to be. And I don't say that as a boast or a brag, but I say it in hopes of if you find yourself in a place right now where you don't really like who you are, where you are in your life, and you are looking to end 2026 as someone different, I hope that I can be a testimony to you in helping you to see that it is possible. None of us are too far gone on our journey to be able to start our life anew and be guiding ourselves on a path that is not only more aligned with Christ and what He would want for us, but, a life that feels a little bit more close to home with what we're looking for ourselves. 2025 was a year that found me starting out in deep disarray, both internally, mentally, and physically. I was just completely consumed with anxiety. That anxiety was what I now believe was fueling a nearly decade long autoimmune issue with both my gut and swollen glands and just feeling completely out of sorts in my body. And mentally, I was exhausted. I was running in loops. I was finding myself and my brain just running away from me, ruminating thoughts, just manically adding tasks to my day and to my life that were unnecessary, taking on causes and concerns that had nothing to do with me rather than offering them up to God. And last year, on January 14th, I had just really felt like I had met my match in terms of just being completely overwhelmed and done with everything. If you watch my testimony episode last year, talking about what led me to God, I'll give you, you know what I'm talking about. But if not, I'll give you a brief overview. So in the November of 2024, a lot of drones started showing up in New Jersey, and my family and I have always seen these things. We lived on the bay. There were always strange lights, that kind of happened at night. And in jujitsu, there were a ton of Coast Guard people, and I'd be like, "Hey, do helicopters fly at night?" And they'd be like, "No, for rescue missions only." And like, that's rare. Like, no, there are no helicopters out there. And I'm like, okay, that's very odd. And although we were over a flight path from the Philadelphia and the Delaware based airports, especially for the Air Force, there were just these strange lights that were completely foreign to anything I had really been used to seeing while paying attention. And I found myself stuck on X a lot, on former Twitter, and just diving headfirst in the conspiracy theories. And I began to become obsessed with the thoughts of us being infiltrated by another country, namely China. And I began to unravel mentally. I was scared because these things I was seeing not only fly over my house that were unidentifiable in what they were, but they were there every night. And, seeing it also reverberated in the news by other people in New Jersey, kind of seeing the same thing, I was just convinced that we were going to be under attack soon, or there's going to be some type of like calamity that could not be avoided. Head into January of 2025, and I found myself in a space where I was just at my wits' end. Financially, we were not doing well, all really because of things that I had forced on my husband and forced us to move from stable jobs in a stable place to move home to my childhood town. And, I had all these big dreams and thought all of these things and courses and da 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 were going to take off financially and I'd be able to pay for all of our bills. And that just wasn't the case. My husband had to go to work for someone else in a retail like sector, and it just wasn't at all what he had thought of or dreamed of, and absolutely wasn't what I had thought of or dreamed of. And I could see the desperation in him of just like, ugh, this is not what I want. And in knowing that I led us to this place, combined with everything going on with the drones and the lights or whatever they were, and feeling so completely out of control, which is never good for a person with me and the previous wiring that I had at the time. I was just feeling so distant from him and just so sad that I'd put us in this place. And I took our dog for a walk and went on to the beach, and I just took a look at the bay and the sun that was starting to set, and I dropped to my knees. And in that moment, I said, God, if you are real, please come into my heart and just take the wheel. Like, please take over. I'm done. I don't know what else I can do. This world is not fulfilling me. I've tried everything I can think of except trying it with you. And I can't even tell you how from that day forward to literally this moment of me speaking to you, God has been working so many miracles in not only my life, but my family's life. And I really attribute it back to that exact moment. I began listening to the Hallow app, and along with Father Mike Schmitz, listening to the Bible in a Year podcast. It familiarized me a lot with the Bible and with Christianity in general. I then began praying the rosary in April. I purchased a rosary from my now dear friends, the Kraus sisters, who make beautiful rosaries, and started praying the rosary and have prayed the rosary nearly every day since. I'm absolutely obsessed with Mother Mary and the rosary. It's brought me such comfort and absolutely helped to reparent a lot of the issues that I have had that led to my nervous system constantly firing, never rewiring. And really, along with praying to Mary, praying the rosary, praying to God, and combining it with what I'd learned from Joe Dispenza and, neuroplasticity and rewiring the brain, I really do believe that I have been able to, along with the power of God, completely change my life in a way that feels like it's stuck. And I'm just eternally grateful. I started attending masses. My mother-in-law, who's Catholic, was like, you know what? You should just go to a private prayer. Just walk in. The hours are usually from, 8 to like 6. Just walk in and talk to God, sit with God. And I did that on the first day that I went in. I didn't realize, I showed up at 10 o'clock. I didn't realize that rosary started at 10:30, reciting the rosary with the congregation. And then that mass started at 11. And I was sitting there and I was like, oh my gosh, I know the rosary. I'm going to pray with them. And then upon praying the rosary, Father John showed up and I was like, oh my goodness, mass is here. I can't get up now and just leave. And I sat through the mass, and the peace, the joy that washed over me, the tears that escaped my face were so incredible. And I just knew in that moment that that was where I was supposed to be. I attended several more masses throughout that summer, couple once a week, and then I'm now up to 4 to 5 a week because I'm just truly so grateful and in love with being in the presence of our Lord and Savior in such a beautiful parish. And for privacy reasons and safety concerns, I'm not going to share which parish I go to, but just so absolutely grateful to have found my new home. And in September, if you're new here, if you have followed along before, you already know what I'm going to tell you. But in September, I signed up to take OCIA classes. Basically, these are the classes that you take in as an adult to be welcomed into the Catholic Church. And I on my first class, which started November 4th, I decided about a week before that after 23 years of consuming habitually cannabis, that I was no longer going to do that. And I was going to offer it up to God during my time in OCIA, which ends at Easter Vigil when I am then officially welcomed in the church. I'll be baptized. I receive my first Holy Communion, which is the Eucharist, the little piece of bread that you get. And then, which is not at all a little piece of bread, it's our Lord and Savior consecrated into a piece of bread on earth for us to be able to partake in just His glory and mercy. And I will also be, it's baptism. Oh, and confirmed. I'll be confirmed and welcomed into my parish and into generally the Catholic Church. I am officially 2 months and about a week. What day is it? 16th? About 2 weeks cannabis free. That also has changed my life. And I felt really convicted about a month around October, I felt really convicted to just like let it go. I had incredibly swollen glands. I was having a lot of issues with my teeth and gums. I was feeling run down. I was just feeling like I was on the verge of getting sick continually every day. My stomach issues, which were mainly in like colon intestinal area, as well as endometriosis pains, were off the Richter scale, the worst they'd ever been. And I thought, you know what? Not only will we save a ton of money, but I think it's time that I offer this up to God and I really just focus in on this time frame and getting closer to him and learning everything I can up until the Easter vigil to be able to really like consecrate myself to the Lord in this way. So I thought it would be really difficult, and honestly, it's been a breeze. I will say that pretty immediately, within days after stopping consuming, and I'm not even taking gummies or tinctures at this point. I've been raw dogging a lot of period pain, which has been fine and great. I offer that suffering up to the Lord, and I will say that I've seen significant decreases in cortisol reactions. My hormones are really balancing out in a way that's incredible. My I'll say intestinal tract is working a lot more smoothly. I very rarely am feeling stomach pains, and that used to be a common all day long occurrence every day. Outside of the few times I've accidentally eaten soy, which I'm allergic to, I haven't had any issues with my stomach. My colon has worked itself out. I'm having rather regular bowel movements. And I only say that not to overshare, but I know how many people struggle with these types of stomach issues and feel like they've tried everything. I certainly did. I tried every homeopathic thing under the sun, every non toxic option. Even antibiotics a couple of times along the way, parasite cleanses, you name it, I've tried it, and none of it worked. I think what really was at the helm of all of these issues was my nervous system just constantly firing because I felt so unsafe at every turn and every moment of my life. And I really do attribute me handing my life over to God to, my body finally calming the heck down. I will also say that I am absolutely aware of and can feel the difference within my cortisol response. I very rarely get angst. I very rarely feel depressed. I very rarely have anxiety. And these were things that would be daily occurrences as well. So ending 2025 in a space of feeling better about a month into letting go of marijuana, and now being 16 days into January 2026, I feel incredible. I feel literally younger, healthier, better than I ever have. My brain fog has completely gone away. No more insomnia, which is what I started taking marijuana for in the first place. Just every ailment I have in my life is absolutely, if not gone and healed, or it's on its way to being healed completely. I think there is a really deep correlation as well between my career and aligning my life with God. I've been so incredibly blessed with the most amazing clients, some of whom have become friends. And just knowing that I am working alongside people that also have faith in God and also allow God to take, the helm at their business and really guide them along their journey in the ways in which they are bringing more people into God's kingdom with what they're doing is really a game changer for me. And it not only has put purpose back into my business, not that I didn't feel like I had purpose before, but there was just a really big disconnect between myself and the people that I was working with because, they weren't really honoring what it was that I was giving them. They weren't really honoring the place that I was coming from in doing so. And to be now in a space where I am not only respected with my work, it is honored and it is received in a grateful manner because they know where it's coming from and ultimately who is helping me along the way with the work that I'm very blessed to be able to give them in return. The mailman's here. 2026 is still finding us with Sophie yapping her little face off. Sophia, excuse me, come. The mailman comes every day, baby. Sorry, guys. 1 second. Sweetheart, come. Come on. Come sit on your bed. I know. He comes every day but Sunday. Shh, shh, shh. Mama's recording. Shh. It's okay. Come. Shh. I hear you. Sorry, guys. I don't want to pause this. I will if I have to. Sweetie. You're being cray cray. Come lay down on your bed. Come here. Come. I'll walk. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Get over here. Come here. Come here. I know. I know. All right, guys, we're going to pause for a second. I'm so sorry. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The mailman has left the area, guys. So sorry about that. Sophie is consistent. She has stayed consistent through 2026, and I got to be grateful for it, you know? She's doing her job as a dog. She's guarding the house. I found myself also feeling really inclined to create a separate social media page where I could just share my faith. I can tell you very seriously that my main Instagram account has been absolutely attacked, reported. The comments I have received are absolutely unhinged. Demons are working through people at every turn to keep the goodness of the Lord spreading. And I will maybe think about popping a few of them in here so that you can like take a peeky peek. But my goodness, people have become absolutely unhinged. Evil is on full display and has been absolutely cosplaying as acceptable ways to behave, not only behind closed doors, but out in society and on social media. And a lot of people have reported my page, incredibly to the point of my views dropping to nearly nothing. And it led me to start a separate page where I would be sharing faith-based content. And I've just enjoyed it so much. It's felt like a breath of fresh air. It's felt like how social media used to feel before everyone became absolutely bat you know what crazy on the app itself. And I'm really enjoying the people I'm getting to meet there. A lot of people who share the faith or are Christians and are just doing things for good. A number of them I'm going to be having on as guests throughout the next couple of weeks. Some of these businesses are absolutely incredible. And whether or not you are a person of faith, these are absolutely people and businesses that you are going to want to get to know. So you can look forward to that coming. I also want to kind of touch a bit on some of the ways in which faith has changed how I outwardly feel in terms of worrying. Worrying for me felt like the only thing that I could control was just being worried and finding things to worry about. And like, if I'm aware of it, I can be ready for it. And like, when this shoe drops, I'll know, and then I'll do this and that. No. All it did was fuel my cortisol, spike me up and get me anxious 24/7. I know it drove my very patient husband crazy because he was just like, gosh, I hate that you feel this way all the time. Like you deserve to feel peace. And in having the last year with the Lord, I'll tell you, my anxiety is gone absolutely away. There are some occasions to where I get a little freaked and I'll go to my husband and he's like, okay, well, maybe you should pray on it. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. I will. I started relying on utilizing a chaplet, which is like just a 10-decade rosary, a mini rosary. And I would pray 10 Hail Marys and offer my anxiety up to God and be like, you know what? Just like help me to like rid myself of this because it's overwhelming me to a point that I can't take today. And I also came across this really beautiful bead offering, I guess we'll call it, that was made by Saint Teresa. And it was, attributed to her adage, which was the little way, sacrificing little by little up to God in order to change yourself and like become less attached to the world and become more aligned with God. So it's like, again, similar to a chaplet, 10 beads, but you slide a bead towards the cross when you have given a sacrifice. I have some things that I'm working on. Judgment is one of them, especially those that I know and that are close to me. And every time that I keep myself from responding in the typical way that I would, which would be annoyed or like, ugh, like, why are you doing this? I would slide a bead. And I keep them in my pocket for the very purpose of being physically reminded that they're there, so that when I have an interaction with this person or an email from that person or something that would typically trigger me to want to judge or be angry or to get flustered, and I don't, I slide a bead. And the goal is to get 10 a day and offer up 10 sacrifices to God. So like one of them could be like, I'm a big big bad girl with the dishes. I will make some dishes in the morning throughout the day. And rather than just doing them right then and there, I've convinced myself that leaving them for dinner time is not only a better use of my time, but is like the easiest thing to do. So when I'm making breakfast, I will force myself right then and there to do the dishes. And in sacrificing that habit that I had created out of sloth and laziness and just like avoidance, I am now able to do it. And then I slide a bead up to God. Sorry, guys. Let me go get this little gremlin. 1 second. On your bed now. I appreciate you and your patience in 2026. That's for sure. Another way that I have kind of turned myself towards thinking of things in a sacrificial manner is just like going for walks. I'll be lazy. It's winter. I live on the bay. The wind is whipping at a minimum of 20. Today we're hitting 45. And I'll say, you know what? It's just easier. Let me just let the dog out the back. No, I'm going to take her on a walk. She deserves a walk and I deserve a walk. So I will go for a walk and slide a bead. And typically on my walks, I'm doing the rosary or I'm praying the Divine Mercy. And I come back feeling better every time. So it's kind of just like allowing me to not rely on laziness or, deciding that like the easier thing to do is the best thing to do by having this sliding bead little like repertoire that Saint Teresa had created. Also, I've become absolutely crazy over making rosaries. And over 2025, certainly the last half of the year, I went absolutely crazy, gaga, in love with head over heels with crafting at night as a way to turn off my brain, but still utilize some of the energy that I had. I used to love crafting as a child and I started making rosaries. I have about 45 of them that are just sitting. I've given out maybe 30 of them throughout my parish. If when I meet someone new, I take it out of my purse at Mass. I'm like, here, like I made this. I would love for you to have it. And it has brought me so much joy. And not to toot my horn, but I've really tried to make rosaries that are unique and different from all the kinds that I've seen out there. And it's been just such a beautiful reward to walk into Mass and to see people praying with the rosary that I gave them. And I can tell it's the one that I made because it's very distinct looking. And it just feels so good to have something be both therapeutic for me and also be a benefit and helps me to make new friends. So that's been really enjoyable. But I did start making these sacrifice beads as well. I keep getting encouraged by many around me to start selling these beads. And although it doesn't feel quite right for me to do so, I do recognize that people that want a rosary and are looking for a specific rosary, it is pretty hard to find out on the market these days. They are pretty traditionally made, and I make mine a little different. Absolutely still in line with the purpose of it and everything, but the bead choices, the crucifix choices, everything, I've kind of gone out of my way to find unique pieces that kind of do create these different rosaries. And I think I may be biting the bullet and at the very least popping a ton of these up on Etsy. So if you are interested, and you're like, you know what? I've been looking for a rosary, or you're interested in the sacrifice beads. I will put a link to the Etsy account and I will put those babies up on Etsy. And I hope that they bring you joy and that they help you to become more steadfast in your prayers and more dedicated to praying the rosary daily. They are blessed by the one of the three fathers at my parish, and they come ready to pray, ready to go. I also have some decades, which are the decade chaplets, which are just like the 10 rosary beads. I keep one of those in my pocket as well. I don't always want to, one, my outfit doesn't always allow to put a delicate rosary in there. So I do have these more sturdy 10 decade little rosaries that I pop in my pocket. But I do keep them in my car. I have one in every purse. Like I'm locked and loaded at every moment with the greatest weapon that has ever been given to us, which is the rosary, and the Blessed Virgin Mary just being with us through every prayer that we state. Which brings me to a really beautiful documentary that I just literally watched yesterday. My mother-in-law and I have really bonded throughout me becoming a Catholic, and throughout this process, we end up watching the same types of documentaries, the same podcasts, and she sent me a suggestion for a podcast, or I'm sorry, a documentary rather, that was on the EWTN network. It is a free network that you can download as an app on your phone, iPad, whatever. And it was about Father Patrick Payton. He was born in Ireland. He came to America to find a better life, became very sick with tuberculosis. A father came to bless him basically with his last rites. And at his bedside, the father said, "You are meant to be a priest. You are going to get better. You're going to work through this, and you are going to serve the Lord." He gave him a rosary and told him to pray the rosary. So he's praying the rosary fervently, fervently, gets better, miraculously heals, and then dedicates the rest of his life, which I think ended up being like 60 years, towards spreading the message of the rosary and bringing families together to pray. Someone along the way throughout his desire to create a campaign that would lead families to pray together came up with the slogan, "The family that prays together stays together." And that became the motto alongside the Holy Rosary and the Blessed Virgin Mary for his ministry throughout his lifetime. And the documentary kicked off with what now is one of my absolute top 5 favorite quotes I will ever hear in this lifetime, outside of, things that Jesus has physically said in the Bible. So it's a teeny bit long, but it's absolutely worth it. And I'm going to read from a card so we get everything right. Whenever people say, "Father, I know what you stand for, but what are you against?" I startle them perhaps by saying that I'm not against anything. I'm so busy being for things that I don't have time to let the things I'm against encroach on my schedule. I'm for God, for prayer, for peace, for justice, mercy, truth, and love. I'm for racial harmony and fair sharing of the material riches God has disposed for us on this green planet. I'm for everything that ennobles men and exalts women and enshrines children. The things I'm for crowd out the things I'm against. But first of all, I'm for prayer, family prayer. The world hasn't got a prayer without yours. And that's Father Patrick Payton. Such a beautiful man, so absolutely dedicated in his faith and his belief in Mary and Jesus and the rosary that it gave me goosebumps watching, because I realized what beautiful gift we have been given with the rosary and what it can do for this world, especially now. There's just so much craziness these days, which also ties into something fun that happened a couple of weeks ago during Advent season. I had a friend who just recently on New Year's Eve became a Catholic, and he came to my parish to have Mass with me. And there was a family, a mother and father, a very kind woman that was hosting them in the United States, and their 7 children that were kind of stuck here because their flight back to Venezuela was not permitted with everything that was going on and the flights being grounded. And they were Catholic, they are Catholic, and they were attending Mass. And at the end of Mass, my friend who had come to visit with me knew them because they had also been visiting his parish, and he introduced them to me. And they were just the sweetest, kindest family. I immediately went home that night and made 10 rosaries to give to the woman that was hosting them, the parents, and the 7 children. And my friend who had come to visit with me at Mass told me about them and their family and their faith. The mother of the 7 children is the granddaughter of Maria Esperanza, who is on her way to sainthood. Actually, she's being considered for canonization, and her great mission was to bring people to the rosary as well, but also to pray to Mary and to understand that the greatest weapon that we have been given to combat governments, war, iniquity, injustice, lies, evil is the rosary. And in having that message being brought to me and being able to then dive into who she was as a person, watch documentaries about her, simultaneously having this big uprising of Venezuela happen, and prayers for liberation for the people and for their lives to be changed. And then seeing Catholic podcasters and Catholic scholars bringing up Maria Esperanza and the premonitions that she had that she said would start in Venezuela. And then now watching this Father Payton documentary, it just really nailed on home for me that my biggest takeaway from 2025 was falling in love with the rosary, that then led me to the faith, which has led my family to have not only such a beautiful, beautiful year, but we've been blessed in so many ways with miracles that we had been praying for years to happen and to come into fruition, and they have. And it's brought our family closer. It's my mother's, thinking about returning to the Catholic Church. And, my husband's praying again, and praying with me in a way that we're praying, for things that we didn't previously do together as a couple and kind of kept to ourselves in our private thoughts. And I'm just over the moon with everything that has happened and everything that has come out of 2025, and the absolute wonderful way in which it has set me up for 2026 to be honestly the best year of my life. I don't like to count away my days, but I am entering into, the 3.5 month mark for becoming an official welcomed member of the Catholic Church. And I have a number of projects and tasks that I have given myself to not only grow closer to the faith during that time, but absolutely am in a space where things are just clicking, and I am feeling so grateful, so blessed. And I wish that for you. I wish that for you today and every day and this year and every year to come. And if you find yourself in a space where you're looking for a bit more, and maybe you have been in the faith and have fallen from the faith, and you're just like, how can I get back into it? Pray the rosary. Please pray the rosary. Talk to God. He is our best friend. Talk to him like a friend if you don't feel comfortable with formal prayers. And if you are a journaler and you're just looking to dive back into thinking about yourself in relation to God, to the saints, if you're a Catholic, I have made a journal for the month of January. Gives you a prompt for every day. Some of it is liturgically based. So on feast days of the saints, you will be given a prompt that will, lead you to think a bit more about that saint and how that relates to your life and what you're doing, and how you may want to align yourself a little bit further with their actions that they did for God, and how you can do them as well for God. I'll link that in the episode show notes. And also the guide that I made last year for being able to do a digital detox and connect yourself more fully with God by separating yourself from tech and things of this world. It's an absolutely free ebook that I made. You can download that as well. I'll put the link in the show notes. It's going to ask you to opt in with a Flow Desk link, and it will dump you into a newsletter that is very infrequent, I promise you. I won't be bombarding you with anything. I'll just be sending you free goodies when I make them, like these journals or these ebooks. And I'll remind you of episodes that are coming up. And I just hope that these resources are helpful to you. I've created them out of a necessity for myself, and it feels wrong to keep them just for myself. So they are out there free of charge for you to be able to download or utilize as a PDF within maybe an iPad app that you're using or journaling app. Either way, tons and tons of opportunities for you to grow a bit closer to the Lord this year. And I have made it my goal for the rest of my life to help bring as many people to the kingdom as possible. And hopefully these resources, as well as this podcast, are going to help you to find your way with God as well. It has been an absolute pleasure, my Richies, to reconnect with you. We will be diving back into our regular schedule shortly of 3 episodes a week. And I really appreciate your patience and you giving me a break. I did really need to disconnect and just allow myself to really focus in on my relationship with God and what that meant for me, and what did I want this podcast and my work moving forward to look like in order to glorify God and his kingdom in a way that would lead more to him. And I'm feeling very aligned and on path with what that looks like for me. And I cannot wait to dispense it over the weeks, months, and years to come. My Richies, as always, it is an absolute pleasure. Make life rich and may God bless you.